My name is Karen Morgan. I'm the director here at Southeast Volusia Humane Society. I'd like to share a story about the animals that we house here. Also a group of passionate employees that are bound together to make a difference in the animal world. Some of the stories have great happy endings, others have some very sad ones, but we always do the best for every animal that comes through our door. Each year we see over 900 cats and 700 dogs come into our small shelter. Each one has a story of either abuse, neglect, or just being lost in life. And it's our job to help return them to their homes or find a forever home for them.
Here at Southeast, we are a nonprofit. We do operate solely on donations, so any little bit helps. We need the money for spaying and neutering our animals when we adopt them out. We need money for medication, for food, anything that the daily care of animals takes. We use those donations to fund strictly for the animals.
So any donations that we can get in of dog food, wet or dry, bedding, cat food, wet or dry, anything helps us immensely.
We don't get the grants and everything like the bigger shelters get. We just rely on what we get and we do our best. We put a lot of heart into these animals. Right now the shelter is in need of extra kennels. That would be very helpful. We're out of space, so we got dogs that are in crates. And I know that it's helping them crate train, but also you got to think of if you were stuck in a crate and you had to go to the bathroom and you had to rely on somebody to take you out. So I come in early and I do that. And during the day, you know, I'll try to work with a dog or two after I'm done cleaning and feeding and medding. Just trying to help out the special needs dogs, the ones that are scared, the ones that have been beaten and abused. It's sad when we run out of room. We have nowhere to go with them, and tough decisions have to be made, and it's heartbreaking. And
my name is Trisha, and I am a cat care specialist. My daily duties are cleaning, maintaining the care of the shelter, medicating cats that need it, and scheduling spay and neuter appointments. Here at Southeast Volusia Humane Societies, our policies on spay and neuter are that cats must weigh either 4 pounds or must be 4 months before they can undergo surgery.
Spay and neuter is really important, especially for cats. 2 cats and their offspring can have 420,000 cats total over 7 years. So that's a lot of cats, and that's why we get a lot of cats in. We oftentimes get a lot of cats coming in that are strays that haven't been spayed or neutered. A lot of times we have pregnant cats in because nobody's taking care of them. Cats go into their first heat cycle at approximately 6 months old. And they can continue going into it every few months after, and they can get impregnated while they're pregnant. So they can continue to have litter upon litter upon litter, and that's why spaying is so important. When new cats come into the shelter, we have to intake them, which includes vaccinating them, deworming them, and flea treating them. If they look ill or not healthy, we do blood test them to see if they have FIV or feline leukemia at intake, just to see what we're working with. And then if they're kittens, we weigh them. We age appropriately. If they're big enough, weigh enough, they get vaccinated. If not, we try to get them immediately into a foster home so that they're not exposed to anything at the shelter and don't expose anyone else to anything. Spay and neuter is important for population control with the cats, especially. You have feral cats outside that aren't fixed, getting into fights, especially male cats, female cats going into heat, causing a nuisance.
Our TNR program here at Southeast Volusia Humane Society is trap, neuter, and release for feral cats so that they can be either spay or neutered before being re-released back outside.
Unfortunately, adoptions are lower than the intake numbers are. Oftentimes, it's only 50 adoptions a month that we see go out. We do a lot of things to really make a difference for the animals. We have off-site adoptions that we see at PetSmart, Petco, and other sponsors in the area. And we have a vast number of fosters who are foster ambassadors. They take the animals into their home, particularly kittens. You find a lot of cat supporters who are able to take kittens into their home and raise them until they're an age to be adopted. This frees up the cage space here at the clinic itself and also gives the kittens a safe place to be able to live and be raised without disease.
I also tend to spend a lot of time with the cats one-on-one to see what their behaviors are like, trying to get them social so they are adoptable, learning what they like, what they don't like, so when adopters come in, we can guide them towards a cat that meets their needs and what they're looking for.
Education for people would be good if they got to know what's really involved with owning a pet. You know, the ins and the outs, the vaccines, the doctor's appointments, the care, the food, you know, really what goes into owning an animal. That's something that people should look into before they adopt.
Oftentimes we also see people that haven't really taken time to think about whether that animal fits well with their lifestyle or their home. In some cases it's a wonderful puppy, but that puppy is going to grow to be an 80-pound dog later on. And what's going to happen in an apartment community or a rental house or a homeowners association, they have guidelines that do not allow that breed. Frequently those animals return to us and have to face a rehoming process, which is very stressful and leaves them at quite a loss. We see people coming in to surrender their pets because they have medical issues and they no longer can care for their animals.
So what typically happens with pit bulls is everybody gets them because it's a fad and they're so cute and pretty, and then they get them home and they grow up and they become overpowering and often too much for folks to handle. And we get sent out either as the dogs being strays, being dumped and abandoned, or owners that just can't even manage to get them in the car to bring them up here to Southeast Volusia Humane Society, which is what happened to this guy. He's just too much for his elderly owner anymore.
My favorite part of this job is when I see an awesome family come in and adopt one of our animals and knowing that they are getting to go live in a home and be well taken care of.
I love working with the animals. I love finding them good homes, taking care of them, seeing them come in from bad situations, and then us rehabbing them and getting them into new homes. I love the happy endings.
What makes me passionate about working here at Southeast Volusia is working with the scared dogs and the dogs that have been abused. They really need that second chance at life. Some of them don't get it. Some of them get that chance. And I'm only one person, but each one that I can get adopted actually makes me feel good inside, like I accomplished something in life.
I think volunteering here at the shelter is very important because it helps the dogs' enrichment. It gets them used to people. Some of our dogs that do come in are not socialized with humans, and the more help we get with them to be socialized, the more of a chance that they will be adopted. When volunteers come here, they have many options they can do with the dogs. They can take them for walks. They can take them out into one of our enrichment yards and spend time with the dogs out in the enrichment yards. We have an agility course set up out in one of our yards that volunteers could take the dogs out there and train them to do the agility course. Or they could just come in, and give the dogs treats or just come spend time with the animals. I am very attached to a dog named Danger. When he was a puppy, he was hit by a train. He had a pin put in his arm, and the people that turned him in never had the pin stuff removed from his elbow when it was healed. So I ended up taking him home after his surgery, and he stayed in my house for about a month and made sure that he was completely healed up. And he has done so much positive things in my house that it just makes me happy to see him thrive, and can't wait for him to find his forever home.
I have one at home right now. His name is Bob. He came in with a big neck wound, and he's been healing after his multiple surgeries at my home.
I'm hospice fostering an elder. She's very sweet. She gets along great with my cat. She's helping my dad out. She's, why let her sit in a kennel and let her pass away when she could be loved and have a home for the rest of her life, and whatever might be left of it, but we'll make the best of it. There's Joe and his sister Dobie. Joe is very fearful, and he clings to his sister, and she's a little fearful, but she's coming out of her shell, and they need to go together, which would be great. They play, they get along great. It's just, I don't know what happened to them in their life beforehand, before they showed up here, but I'm glad that I had the chance to work with them and make him feel better. There's Angus. He's a senior. He's an older dog, but he still plays like a puppy. He loves to play fetch. Real good dog. And there's many others that are here that are playful, and just people overlook them because they're pit bulls, and they're real sweet.
Our passion is to see the best for each and every animal. I've held sick ones in my arms and wished for them the best, stayed up all night with them, hoping that in the morning they would take a turn for the better. I've seen some that walked in great sadness and walk out the door in happiness and forever homes. And that's our passion and our desire. We recently had a dog named Abel who had been with us for a long time. A family walked in and wanted to adopt him because their autistic son needed a special friend in this world. And it turned out that Abel and their son were perfect matches. And those are the heartwarming, wonderful stories that we like to see, that an animal's life was changed and a human's life was changed. Oftentimes, unfortunately, there aren't enough homes, no matter how hard you try. Or in some cases, there are some animals that have been so abused or so neglected that can never be deemed as adoptable again. About once a week or every other week, we do have an animal that comes in that we have to put to rest just because they can no longer really function in this world. And being in a kennel just isn't fair to them either. We hope that we can share our message And that as people sit back and they go, wow, we just really want a no-kill shelter in the area, that supporters realize that it takes people outside of these four walls to make that happen as well. You see the finances that are needed on a day-to-day basis, and people need to band together because this is your shelter, this is your community, and with a band of people, we can make a difference with these animals. We're passionate to find the right home and the right placement. The final question is, what do you do when the last cage is full or the last kennel door shuts? I ask each one of you to think about that. We always want room, but there always isn't room available. We need you to make the difference.